Mwah. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Welcome. Let's get Instagram on. This is my first time starting live on time. I think so. Welcome to the Clarity Hotline. Hey guys, I know the lighting is abysmal. Okay, bear with me. I'm not worried about that today. I'm worried about getting through these questions. Okay, that is what's on my mind. There are a lot of them. Well, I chose three, but they're like big. So we need to do our breathing, our Lamaze breathing before we birth this thing. I have so much I want to say, and let me get into it. But anyway, welcome, clutter-free family. Welcome to the Clarity Hotline. We're answering your life's burning questions. I'm Yvette, the declutterist, your less is more coach and business mentor. For those of you who are working with me to start a business. And I've been doing this. I've been helping people, guiding people to find their own clarity for years now. And I love to do it. And so, yeah, I started the Clarity Hotline. I'm on Instagram and YouTube, so excuse my kind of to and from. And then I'm reading the questions. I want to tell you kind of a change up here. I'm actually going to only take the pre-submitted questions first and then live questions. And that's a change up because before we were kind of prioritizing live questions, but I had so many pre-submitted questions that I was like, okay, I'll riff on this. And it gave me some time to jot some notes down. And now I'm realizing, well, that actually is more organizing to me. I feel more organized in that world of having pre-submitted questions, kind of like I did in the past with Clarity Hotline, because this isn't a new concept for me. I've been doing this a while, but like I did in the past, I took questions and then answered them live. So anyway, I'm sticking with the original format. And I think it's a lot better because I think I'm going to turn this into a podcast and just repurpose this everywhere. Why not, right? We're spending the time. We're all about minimizing our workflow. So let's put some technology to work. Spread the love to all the people who want to hear this message in however many ways possible. Because as your bandwidth expands in its awareness, not necessarily expands in its capacity, because that as I understand it from science, doesn't grow. It just is what it is, but we just learn to use it more efficiently, our bandwidth. And as moms, busy moms, especially talking to you, it can get hold on, got a distraction on a phone call. Sorry, I thought it was do not disturb, but I guess not. Hold on, let me get back to it. Let me get back because I have my agenda here. The reason for the change up, repurposing into a podcast. I think that's a better thing. So repurposing into a podcast means, I get out there more to more people. And I used to have a podcast, so there's a different one, but I'd be kind of reviving that workflow. So as you get an expanded awareness of your bandwidth, you start to use it more efficiently. And for me, because I know the workflow of the podcast, I know the workflow of YouTube, I know the workflow for blog, because I've done it all. So it's like I'm able to simplify as I start to add to the things that are going to work without me. And therefore, that's my leverage, because I'm using things that I know to make me better. I'm putting them into play. Everything I learned over several years of being an online marketer, online service provider, coach, it's like I am applying these transferable skills, right? And so you are too. As you're building something, you're transferring these skills, just like resume writing, from one job to the next. So people say that we change careers 7 times in a lifetime. Well, it's kind of true in the way that whatever our transferable skill that we learned goes into the next one. So there's a through line between that. There's a through line of behavior and skill and knowledge and awareness and confidence. That's the through line. But we use fancy verbs and words and stats to make it into like maybe a new industry or a new department within the industry. Whatever we need to do, we're kind of linking up our career path in that way. Now imagine if you knew that through line before you started a business. Then strategy is born from that. So as you become aware of your bandwidth, then you start to hire out, you're outsourcing things, and less of your time is demanded. And you get to stay doing the things you love in your business, connected to that through line, not abandoning that through line at any point. So that's kind of what is, that's what it's important. What am I doing? What am I saying here? Anyway, basically I was giving you kind of the thought with which I'm now able to think about turning this into a podcast, because my bandwidth has greater capacity. My bandwidth has more quiet space so that I can develop and grow and focus, and then I can iterate on the next thing. And fortunately enough for me, with my experience, I'm able to implement tech pretty quickly. But I think that's kind of the cool thing about tech, is how tech is coming in and helping us do what we want to do in the world. And the sooner you can embrace the right tools, you're off to the races with putting this out. So, put a podcast out if that speaks to your soul, that you want to be kind of this. Even if you want to just be a journalist, a news anchor, sportscaster, that kind of thing, start a podcast, right? Because ultimately it's your voice and your personality and your connection to the topic, that's going to make it grow. So all that to say is I feel a lot more organized when I have the pre-submitted questions and then take live questions after. Maybe we'll do some pre-submitted questions, and then I leave a certain amount of time, I'm not sure how much of the hour, to ask the live questions in the comments. So I'm still working on that. But if you've got live questions, we'll figure it out today. Okay. We'll figure out how to make that happen today. My hair is wet. Okay, so let's breathe in and breathe out. However you like to do, closed eyes, in through the nose, out through the nose, in through the mouth, out through the mouth, whatever feels relieving, and centering and grounding enough to be here right now. So breathe till you're here. Okay, so, all right. So the questions we're going to answer today are, the easiest one first: what is a minimalist entrepreneur? Why, and the second one, why am I so addicted to getting followers? This is a social media question. It's so upsetting when I see my slow growth. And then I never watch the news. It makes me so, okay, I never watch the news. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'll expand on what these questions, the context that I got. Okay. Whew, it's a lot. It's a lot, guys. Let me see something real fast. Okay, let's start with the first one. I think the easiest one. What is a minimalist entrepreneur? I've seen that a couple places, and I could be one, but how do I categorize myself to know? Thanks, Darren. Okay, so there are a lot of people talking about minimalist entrepreneurship, even years ago. And, we've all got a different take on it, but somehow there's connection there. So some bloggers, some authors have written about minimalist entrepreneurship, okay? And me being one of them, blogging about it and doing this work. So I have the Minimalist Entrepreneur Club that I'm founder of, and it's in an effort to kind of bring awareness to a more simple way of doing business. And it involves rethinking business, rethinking how you do business, rethink so you can redo business your way, on your terms, in your at your pace. So much of that is there. Okay, so let's see. So I did get to write some notes because ultimately, because there are so many people talking about minimalist entrepreneurship, and by a lot, it's not even a lot at large. It's like in the circles, I can recognize a minimalist entrepreneur even if they don't know that they're one. And it's because there's something about them that they have simplified to the point of just being really good at it, focused enough on it to learn it and know it. And so some people have talked about minimalism in the office, minimalism because entrepreneurship, so business, there's the tie of bringing minimalism into business. And there's talk about minimizing self-doubt, talk of minimizing workload. So all these things. Sahil Lavinia wrote one of my favorite books on the topic called The Minimalist Entrepreneur, How Great Founders Do More with Less. So there is that concept, do more with less. And it does have a lot to do with how tech makes a way for creators. And that's what his book is about. He's the founder of Gumroad. And so his is a lot of like, look at the apps and the technology available to you as an entrepreneur now, as a creator, somebody starting a business, making something from nothing, using your creative genius, operating in your wheelhouse, and what can help you, do that. So that's his take on minimalist entrepreneurship. I recommend his book, but there's a bigger aim at play because he's the founder of Gumroad. So his book serves his business, the concept. But see how that's kind of cool. Sahil is a minimalist entrepreneur because he started with the end in mind. He didn't started with the end in mind and kind of reverse engineered his foray into the world he loves. So he worked in code and then became the founder of Gumroad by by learning simple code and just started doing it and offering in the simplest way things for creators to get paid. And I go into all that because I want you to see how the evolution of one business idea can grow. And as long as it's grounded in your vision for your life and the lifestyle you want to lead, and you are not abandoning your values, your priorities, and what makes you come alive, if you're not abandoning those things, how everything kind of grows from there. So he learned his challenges on the way of being in the tech industry. And now he's, I don't know if he's a self-made millionaire. I mean, he would be if he's a millionaire, but I think he's a modest guy, but powerful, like has money, but he comes across as a modest guy. And so that's the cool thing. If he is making millions, he's so modest about it because it was never about that. So he's still able to operate in his wheelhouse on his platform about the thing he wants to talk about all the time, which is tech and development and code, and not code, but serving entrepreneurship, serving the creator. Because even now is a VC for like a tech incubator. So I don't know actually if he's a tech incubator. From his book, it sounded like I think he is. But anyway, he's a VC now, a venture capitalist, so he can back new technology, and that's kind of the world he's in, right? And so it's cool, right? And so that's one of the things about a minimalist entrepreneur is even niching down to something, because niche is both belief and behavior. So how do you behave when you're your happiest? What do you believe about the topic you're wanting to talk to people about? What are your beliefs as a whole, right? In your life. And your values. And those change along the way, but always coming back to reassess, and ground yourself in your purpose and your clarity. Then you'll always kind of have that forward momentum, because there's nothing that attracts you to anything more than purpose. I mean, purpose is like a magnet, it's a flashlight through it all, guiding. And if we don't look away, or if we don't get distracted, and I mean that in the very superficial sense, because there's a depth to distraction, and a superficial sense in that we just keep getting sidelined by all these other thoughts and not going after our thing. But that's not just career. That's not just career. Anyway, I don't even know if I want to go there. But anyway, when you build something on purpose, that's what is ultimately going to be more fulfilling, right? Because then you're doing it at scale. You're operating at purpose at scale. As you evolve, things start to become more opportunities start to become attracted to you. And so that's how your multi-passionate nature starts to get its fill, because it's like, oh, well, I want to touch a little bit of this industry and that industry and that industry, and just do a little bit at a time, and just enough to kind of get a feel for it and feel the success of what that industry has to offer, the notoriety within that industry and what it looks like award shows and galas and philanthropy and speaking opportunities, whatever, right, on that topic. I think ultimately that's what creators want. They want attention on the stuff they care about. And so I'm not sure, other than Sahil, if some of the people I think are minimalist entrepreneurs if they would identify themselves as one. I think if they don't know about minimalist entrepreneurship, it's a concept they would resonate with. If somebody told them, hey, are you a minimalist entrepreneur? Oh, what's that? Here's what it is. And so I hope I'm giving you enough of that. It's not just about doing more with less. I think it's taking ownership of your life, right? Ownership of all the facets of you, because that's the quickest way to fulfillment and enlightenment. And if we are not owning an aspect of ourselves and we're denying that, then in a way, what we're building is based on a lie. It's based on the image we want people to see. But there's connection and vulnerability, being vulnerable with your work, because there's a lot of self-criticism, haters, and things that are going to come along the way. But being vulnerable to your work enough to where you create a community that connects with that vulnerability, that expression of who you are. And then that community grows into customers, and right. And in the vein of a minimalist entrepreneur, Kevin Kelly wrote an article called 1,000 True Fans. And what you have when you have somebody connected to you at that base of a level, that vulnerable place, you've got a true fan and if they become a customer, that's true fans. And Kevin Kelly says you only need 1,000 true fans. And I mean that in like the most spiritual sense of the word. Like, just think about it, serving 1,000 people. That you can do that in your lifetime. You can serve 1,000 people. And so imagine cultivating at the base of your business those 1,000 true fans, and then they just continue to grow, right? If your aim was just serving one person a day, then you've got 1,000 true fans, serving, connecting, right? Enjoying their company, listening. So that's also part of a minimalist entrepreneur, niching. And because niching simplifies your strategy moving forward. You're not scattered in 1,000 different directions. You're very much present in one category at a time. So for me, it was turning to long form, and I am focused on long form. And then, I can go live as well, long form, but then also serve other Instagram, other avenues of going live. And then I can add on podcasts, right? So It's like niching. That behavior to me feels like my time is well spent. That's what you want to feel like. You want to feel like your time is well spent. And niching at the beginning is how you build a dream business and not a job, because your niche has to do with your personality, your drive, your dedication, your commitment of time and energy. Like, I'm committing myself to this road. And in that way, business is like a baby. We start out super simple. There's gestation, there's incubation, there's, sleeping on your chest, napping on your chest for hours. There's, just the connection of what a baby needs to really know you enough to trust you with their lives and be imprinted on by you. Like, business is like a baby. We've got to give it that gestation period in our hearts and our minds and our soul and our walk. And then it all starts to follow. You become a magnet to the things that are drawn to you, like attracts like. Okay, so that's why niching is important. But I wanted to say, so minimalist entrepreneur Sahil Lavinia, and I am quoting him here, said he's attracted to a high level of freedom and autonomy. And Susie Moore is minimalist in her mindset. I don't know that she considers herself a minimalist entrepreneur. Shout me out if you know. But she says she's focused on you can control only what you can and don't check likes. So she's got a book about stop checking likes. And there's a lot of being who you are, owning who you are, like I was saying, in minimalism. Know thyself, and then the way. It's like, that's kind of what she's pushing. And she practices. I've read her book, and it's good. And she's got a great perspective about just being lightening up, right? And not checking likes. Don't worry about that. And so see how there's minimalism in that, a minimalist, a reduction in the excess, following what matters, right? Knowing what matters, prioritizing things that matter above, all else. Okay, so have we beat this horse dead? Is this one? Darren. Yeah, Darren. Anyway, okay, so I did have a little bit of a way to wrap that up. So I like to think of minimalism as less hustle, more flow, and making sure you know yourself, have clarity about what you want to build, the vision for what all this is serving. Why all this? Why do this? So that's what a minimalist entrepreneur is to me. You can check out the minimalistentrepreneur.club for more information, or get on the wait list to join us. The next question is by Aaron. By the way, Aaron, I think I am spelling it right, because that's the way Aaron Lauder spells it. And that's pretty. It's very pretty. Okay, so Aaron, why am I so addicted to getting followers? It's so upsetting when I see my slow growth. Okay, so this one I was chomping at the bit about, because it is, and I'm sorry, Aaron, this took me so long to get to this one, because I know when you submitted this. But I picked it. I was like, hey, let me go back to some of the ones I haven't answered. And I'll tell you why I picked this one, because it was timely. Because maybe the day before I was on Spotify, and I was looking up SZA, because I'm obsessed with her. I think I'm a little bit obsessed with SZA, and I know other people are too, because I went to her concert, so I witnessed. There's something about her, especially the fact that she has the track Drew Barrymore, who also I love. I just feel like we're sisters. But anyway, why I say that is I feel a connection to her, and I hope to someday meet her. But so I was looking at her little bio in Spotify as I was playing her albums. And I was like, oh man, I never noticed monthly listeners is below her album cover, monthly listeners. And we all have stats and figures that we are tracking. And for Erin, followers, I'm assuming on Instagram, Erin. And I don't know why you're concerned about followers, but we'll get there. I think you're probably a creator. Because why else would it matter? Why else do followers matter? You want to maybe be an influencer. So anyway, I'm looking at SZA, her page, and seeing the monthly listeners, and I was like, oh man, that's a stat she's probably looking at. That's probably a track they track. The stat they track. And I was thinking, I hope she's proud of that. It's a lot of people, millions. And I hope she's proud of that. And what I felt in that moment was like, man, we're all so obsessed with these follower counts, these badges of honor in the social media space, like how many followers, how many likes, how many monthly listeners on Spotify, how many subscribers. It's like we've got these very masculine metrics. And the emotional side of us, the more feminine side of us, would be emotional, right? If it's not growing as much as you're putting in effort, time, energy, love, blood, sweat, tears, late nights, no nights, sleep. And it's like, like to put all that into something for it not to be received as widely as you'd like it to be received could make somebody sad, especially in this game of creatorship. And I was thinking, I hope she doesn't feel sad about that, because that's amazing to me. But I'm not even 1,000 of her true fan. I'm not even within the 1,000. I feel like I want to be. I want to know more about her. So this is maybe the foray into becoming that kind of a fan for her. But I am also just kind of a dabbler in things. But still, I love her. But I don't know that I'm so obsessed with learning everything about a person who I don't have like a relationship with. Yeah. So anyway, all that to say that I hope she knows she impacts many, and that number doesn't matter. And I hope she's happy. I hope it makes her happy, because a lot of times though that number doesn't make us happy, even when it goes up, it doesn't make us happy. And so, Erin, it's not going to make you happy. I think we are tied into this idea of followers and then missing the whole point. And the point is, if you want to be an influencer, what are you influencing? Do you know that? Do you know that the answer to that question? If you want to be an influencer, what are you influencing? Who are you talking to, and why does it matter? I mean, it could be anything from, how to build a sexy body, how to get rich quick, how to lose weight, how to, anything, wealth creation, health and wellness. So all those things, it's like, what about this topic are you influencing? What are you saying about it? What's your beliefs on it? And you have your niche right there when you're able to answer that, because then everything, that's your through line. It's like, this is what I'm saying in whatever capacity I can say it, on whatever platform stage I can say it on. And this is what I want you to walk away with. This is my aura. It's what you recognize in me when we meet and no words are exchanged. So when you get down to that, then everything's so much easier. Everything's so much easier because it's a simplifying tactic. Niching isn't stifling for the multi-passionate creator. It's simplifying. It simplifies your focus, your direction, and where you put your drive, because drive is energy. It's thought. It keeps you up, right? At night, if you don't press the brakes slowly, it's like you slam on the brakes and you still got juice, right? You didn't come to a slow halt. You still kind of have, you're fired up. And maybe that's true actually about a car engine. I don't know. Sounds right. But it makes the start in your business so much better. So, and that's another little plug for minimalist entrepreneurship. But I want to get back to, why are you so addicted? You use the word addicted, and I think there's like withdrawal that comes from addiction, withdraw, and upset when we're not getting the traction for our work like we want, maybe as fast as we want. You mentioned slow growth. And I think when you're early in your business, and if you want to make this a business, then that's why you would want to care about followers, because you want volume and you want to be seen by more people. So the opportunities for converting one into a customer are greater. And it's like, that's why you want to have followers, because maybe it means more money. But without a vision for what you're going to do with the money, what you're going to do with maybe the fame, it's like, I hope that's fulfilling for you. I don't think it is. There's got to be something more soul-led within your drive to have it be fulfilling. And that is why, you point your drive in the right direction. You point your drive in the direction of your dreams, because you're going to go 100 miles per hour in some direction. Which one is it going to be? Which direction is it going to be? What are you going to press the gas on toward? And we talked about Sahil kind of reverse engineering. He's kind of, in my opinion, in the tech industry, the fact that he wrote a book, he can now start. I'm sure he does. I'm so behind the times, I'm sure, on him. Sorry. Speak, because he's got a book. And so he went that way, right? To it. You can go different ways. You can do a blog to a book to a stage. Whatever. You can do a book to a blog. I mean, there are, whatever you're passionate about, okay? Whatever you're passionate about, just do it. If you like to write, write. If you like to dance, dance. If you like to sing, sing. If you like to paint, paint. Find a way to do it now, because anything built on anything otherwise has you doing the things you don't like to do, has you doing what you love to do less, because you're taking up your time with so many other things. So when you think about just building this business on, followers and subscribers and monthly listeners, what is a business built on that kind of awareness, this external validation, this hustle to be externally validated, to be approved by the masses, this kind of like mainstream into the world birth. What does that do to the nervous system? What does it do to jar your sensibilities? What does it do to a platform that's underdeveloped versus a minimalist business versus a business built on owning who you are as much as you can every step of the way, and growing in knowing who you are. Business is a path of self-discovery. You can tweet that, just I said it. But business is a path of self-discovery. It's like we discover ourselves more and more as we go. And it's not just about like learning how you deal with pressure, learning how you rise to a challenge, meet rejection, how you fall and get back up. there's also like how there's awareness that comes with how you want to live, the energy you want to have, the freedom you want to feel. All of that is kind of revealed. And as we're drawn more to that freedom, we're going to start to shed the fat, the weight of what's holding us back from it, because we're that more attuned to the fact that we want freedom to look this way. And so we know it when we see it, right? We know, hey, you look like so-and-so. You look like your mom. You look like your dad. It's like, then I can trace the lineage. So that kind of like kinship, the blood that flows through us is kind of like our through line. And yeah, business is like a baby. So as much as you can, take the time of gestation, incubation, sleeping with this thing, journaling about this thing, talking to this thing, and learning from it, right? And then I think you'll really build something like a little more solid, a little more sound that feels perfect for you. And I think then you start caring about, you stop caring so much about followers. And I'll give you some new metrics, actually. You stop caring so much about followers and you start to look at some new metrics. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some new metrics, because if you think about followers, it's not an accurate measurement of your success, because you might be new on that platform, but if that have had success elsewhere. And so you don't want to, when you just focus on that, when you're growing, then you're losing sight of all the things that happened in the gestation and the incubation and the chest to chest phase, the co-sleeping phase, right? So you want to think about, how's your email list growing? How's the connection to those people in your community growing? What's the feedback like? You're getting a gift from this kind of early place in business is data. That is a gift to know about have a finger on the pulse of your audience. It means that you can talk to them, vibe with them, connect with them, and ultimately charge them for something because they'll want to work with you. So think about that. And that is a lot more feminine space, because that's impact. That's direct interfacing with the people that you want to touch, seeing the face light up, seeing the aha moment, seeing the win, right? When they finally lose the weight and you help them get there with your nutrition program or your fitness program, you help them get there. And then that's a testimonial that builds your business. And it's like, that is the way of business. That's the exchange that's happening. And so in the early days, that is what is very feminine. And stats, figures, followers, subscribers, that's very masculine. And if we only lean to that side of us, we're just kind of neglecting the feminine. And so the feminine keeps getting hurt because she's not being acknowledged. She's being ignored. And in the boardroom, all they're talking about is, well, how many did you sell? Hold on. I didn't even start my platform yet. I'm still I'm still on maternity leave. Okay. I'm not supposed to be producing right now. And so if you can understand that about yourself, then you can be honest with the season that you're in. And if you're in a newer season of business, then don't expect to have a follower count of somebody 15 years in business. And we don't always see those early years when they're at the 15th year. We see the 15th year. We see the last 12 months maybe, right? Okay, so there's a lot there. What I want to leave you with, Erin, is I want you to think about going back to the drawing board. Everything grows from the little seed you plant today, okay? So if you are going to put your time, energy, love, time, whatever, commitment into this, then just make sure it's tapping on a nerve that brings you joy, that you don't mind doing it for the entire toddler phase of this business, 3 years in, still talking about this thing, still talking to these people. If you don't mind doing that, being touched out and tantrumed out and late nights out in this thing, you've got yourself a winner. You're going to find your way. And instead of thinking like you got to grow fast by numbers and followers and things like that, because that changes the game quite a bit, right? Then it's just kind of a sales job, which, it's a sales job. The next thing, it's an MLM you join. The next thing, it's the corporate job with the side hustle, right? There's also always some energy of kind of, how do I say that so that you understand? So that I am not misunderstood, I should say. Thank you. Sorry. If you are just chasing the money that the vehicle promises to provide, then you are not there. There's going to be a struggle with how to sell this thing because you've not gotten it into your bones, into your blood, that this is how I'm going to weave that into what I do, because it absolutely points me in the direction of my dreams. So I'm going to use this vehicle and for my mission, for my message, and to get me where I want to ultimately go. So even if I don't do this job for the full 3 years, at least I'm, building a platform on this message and this mission, serving these people that I want to serve. And then you'll start to kind of niche in, and the niche will confirm or correct the vehicle you're in, if you want to go about it that way. But anywho, you can always be in anything, sales job, full-time job, MLM. You can always be in anything and be connected to your purpose, and always use it as a vehicle to get where you want to go when you know where you want to go. Okay, so anything can be used as the vehicle to get where you want to go. So if you've got any start, remember your favorite influencer started at 0 subscribers, 0 followers, 0 monthly listeners, all the people you love in all these different arenas that have all these stats tied to success like they do, then their version of it, at least, then what was I going to say? I guess I just wanted to make sure that I really answered your question, Erin. And I forgot how I was tying my question, the end of what I was saying, into what I wanted you to take away. I wanted to give you a little bit more of a nugget to kind of tap into your own knowing. Okay, here it is. If you have 0 followers or 300 followers or 1,000, 10,000, whatever it is that feels small to you, make sure you're serving them in the way that you want to continue to serve them now. So regardless of time, you can be very successful with a tiny audience, because remember those more feminine metrics that we'd want to be tracking. And I talk about actually the more feminine metrics in tomorrow's YouTube video that drops tomorrow morning, Friday. So Erin, check that one out. That talks about some other ways to kind of get around this very masculine driven emotional roller coaster that the numbers take us on, when there's actually something more substantial to your success in the making. Okay. Okay. Next question. How are we doing on time? I think good. Okay. So I think we'll definitely wrap this one up if with this one. And if you have another question, and I don't get to the lives because there is some notification on YouTube that I'm getting, but I'm going to keep going. If you go to clarityhotline.com, you can submit a question. I'm sure that link will work at some point very soon. And otherwise, just comment with your question and I'll put it in the queue because, yeah, I think it's a lot easier to answer pre-submitted questions and then take some maybe live questions if it's kind of more on a rapid fire basis. But we'll do our best with that. I don't know how that'll look. But anyway, so let's close out with this one, and then obviously feel free to say hi to me or let me know you're here. Thanks for hello. Okay, so the last question today from Nalae, pretty. She says, or actually, I don't want to say any pronouns. I don't know. I never watch the news. It makes me sick to hear. I never watch the news. It makes me sick to hear so many negative stories on our planet. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Why are so many people drawn to scary and inhumane news? I think, yeah, the news has a bad rap for sure. Because I think you're right. I think people are drawn to scary and inhumane because it's the shock factor. Like, how could this exist when I'm this way? No way somebody could think other than what I believe and have the core values that I have. It's like, oh, no way, the horror, which I love. I love horror. I love suspense. So I guess in a way, I'm drawn to that genre for particular reasons at my core too. Just like you're probably wondering, like, why are people drawn to scary and inhumane? Are they scary and inhumane? I think it's a way of being informed. And to the extent that you feel you need to be mostly informed from the outside world is the extent that you're comfortable sitting alone in a room with yourself and no devices. And because you're informed from within, and that is enough. It's very monk-like. And sitting on top of the mountain or in the temple, like, wherever, it's just this stoic state of impermanency and like going with the flow, the ultimate serenity, so it's kind of like the more we're drawn to the news, the further away from that place of serenity we are in our natural state. And I'm not going to answer, is it a good thing or bad thing? That's for you to determine. I'm not here to tell you what's good or bad. My mom is a big news watcher. My dad knows a little bit about, he listened, rest his soul. He listened to a lot of AM talk radio. So that's how he stayed informed. And I'm not, judging any amount here. I'm just telling you, my parents got their news in the way that they got their news. Probably, what is it called? The news, primetime news? I don't know. The news she'd watch, evening news, what she would watch gave her kind of this like safety angle, how to be safe, because this is what happened. And then the talk radio, very politically driven. And so you saw that kind of carried out in their character. And that is kind of what I know of the news. So I know that I used to be like you, like I never watched the news. And I would say that because I didn't. And I didn't want to be influenced by all these external opinions when I hadn't given myself time to learn my own opinion. And really, when your own opinion is formed from within, your own opinion, when it resonates, is a tap on the spirit, is a tap on your heart, is a tap on your inner knowing. And so when it resonates, it's like, oh, okay, I feel peace about this opinion. And so therefore, I kind of have the same opinion. And, I kind of wanted that first before I kind of went out. And I was in business school for my undergrad, and my master's, but I was in business school and I was fanatical about reading the Wall Street Journal and understanding financial news because that's not my strong suit. Money, finance, numbers, math. That's not my strong suit. But when I dedicated myself to studying math, I got better. I got A's in accounting. I got I got a B in finance, but it was a high B. And was it? Yeah, I got a high B in finance. I was really proud of that from a C minus calculus girl. Like no clue what calculus even has to do with anything. And the people who do know, wow. You know what calculus even means? Like what kind of mind, what did you have to expose yourself to understand that? Same with stats, right? And physics, right? We kind of get a little bit of that. I can understand physics, but no, the theory of it, I have not taken a physics class. All that to say is like, I wanted kind of not to be led by the masses like the news tends to do. I will say now, though, I like to hear the news a little bit more now that I'm a mom, because I want to know the culture and the climate of this life that my kids are being raised in. I want to understand enough to know my options, know what safety looks and feels like today in this very tech-driven AI world of social media. So I just want to, in the political climate, like, so if I'm asked later by them, hey, what was it like? I can be present with the answer because I'm present today. So I can give him stories about his childhood, his upbringing. What was the climate? What was the sense of things? What was the culture at the time? So that he's got a richer, robust kind of like, oh, cool. Okay, I could see that. And then maybe I went this route in my life because the culture steered me, or my resonance with this particular leader at the time and kind of what world I was drawn into. It's like, it's more of learning about yourself. And so I do find myself wanting to hear a little bit of the news here and there. I don't listen every day, but just enough to kind of know, like headlines and things like that, maybe just some idea. Headlines, that's tricky. I don't read headlines without reading the context of the article. I'm specifically talking about on the Max app, there's 5 things you need to know every day. And I watch that and it's really fast. It's really quick. 5 things that this particular media outlet thought would be important that I know today. So that was kind of like something I do. And then I'm much more of a fan of underground news, like the early adoption of concepts and things that are kind of brewing on a micro level. Like I like that too. But it's like, this is what our ancestors did for us. This is what our parents did for us at our bedside, told us stories about, oh, when you were 2 years old, when you were 3 years old, this is what you did. And oh, how cute. And that's like important. It's important to hear those stories because somebody knows you, somebody knows what you went through and still loves you. That's part of showing them unconditional love, is telling them stories about how they grew up, telling them funny, laughing with them, having it feel light and fun and enjoyable to learn about themselves because you care. That's a big one. But anyway, and it also informs my work to have a little bit of knowledge of the news, what's trending, what's current, because that's top of mind. And I think it's important to know for my work what's happening in the world, because I can always reference that, right, in my work somehow, some way. I'm open to that being an outlet that I get some of my information from. the news. But it's funny because it's also pop culture, right? I'm not a big like reality TV person, because I know it's all about ratings. It's all about who can do what the most scandalous way, a lot of drama. So I'm not a big, and a lot of showy adornment. It's just a lot of materialism, and that's all well and good because I used to like reality shows. I used to like it. Now, it's whatever. I don't tune in whenever I get a free minute into a reality show, but they're fun. So I did watch Love Island, which I guess a new season released, but I just wanted to see the people, and my mom watches the show. So I was like, okay, let me see what this is all about. And so I watch it. And then they do a lot of like in your face advertising. So then you just click it, right? Let me just see the first 5 minutes of it. And I ended up kind of fast forwarding here and there through the first episode just to see these beautiful people. And I actually cried because when the girls met each other, they all were like, oh, I feel like you're like a true friend, and we're going to be in this, and I love you, and no girl hate, right? It was all love. And that was a beautiful thing. So I actually like got teary eyed, and I was like, I hope they feel that way in the end, because, that's a nice little bond, but things will start to break up, and, they'll probably fight over a man, and it'll get ugly. So anyway, all that to say is it's not good or bad if you don't like the news. One day you might change your opinion. Simple as that. One day you might change your opinion, and it might be something that you're open to watching. But, just let it serve you. If it doesn't serve you and you don't feel good about it, don't watch the news. All right, that's it. So you can submit your question at clarityhotline.com for our next week. We go live Thursdays, 12 noon Pacific. And if you want to go deeper on a particular question about your life, anywhere you're stuck, we can do that on a private call. You can book a free call with me, actually. I'll put that in the notes, in the description, in the caption, a way to submit or to book a call with me so that we can go a little bit more in depth on things and spend some time getting you unstuck. Okay, if you have a question like that. All right, that's all for today. See you next week. Thursdays, noon Pacific, Clarity Hotline. Peace.